sure he...
No.
No. Just make sure he's awake. That's all we ask. Thank you. All right. Well, we're a couple minutes early, but I don't see any problem. I got the thumbs up from the gentleman in the booth. So with that, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This is the October 25th, 2012 meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Before we get started tonight, I do have one announcement. A gentleman that has been very involved with the town of East Fishkill and Dutchess County for more years than I'd like to remember, 30 years I believe is what everybody's saying, is with us tonight. Michael Tomkovich has served as chairman of the IDA for 30 years. He has served as town justice. He has served us as chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And Michael had announced, he told me a couple months ago, he's going to retire as of the end of October. Mike, you've been feted, toasted, dined. I know everybody in the county has had something for you, but this is from your hometown. And we got you a little something because you're going to be going, and I'd just like to come down and read it to you. Because, Michael, there's not a whole lot of people around like you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything you've done. And there's untold, probably thousands of people in Dutchess County whose lives you've touched. So I'd like to present you with this plaque, if I may just step down and read the plaque to you. And this is really something for the town of East Fishkill. So if I may. Can our camera guy see us? He gives us a...
Okay.
Can you give me a thumbs?
It's
Does it give
okay.
me a thumbs up? Okay. This plaque is presented to Michael Tomkovich in appreciation and recognition of his many years of service as chairman of the IDA, East Fishkill Town Justice, and chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals, as well as his dedication representing the children and families of Dutchess County. Be it in economic development, applying laws and administering justice, or advocating for those in need, Michael has proven himself a caring, intelligent, and diligent member of our society. Michael is a true leader, a man of vision, and an asset to our community. And sincerely, from the East Fishkill Town Board, Michael, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. Just take one, if everybody could just bear with us 1 minute, could we take one picture? I see Gene brought a camera. Can we just step down and take one quick picture with Michael, because, as I said, his contribution to our town and this community is just very significant. So I'd like to have Michael please stand here closer. Yeah.
What was your face? I'm not there.
Thank you very much, Michael. In your retirement, and when you're in the areas, please stop in. Would you like the box? Yes, please. Thank you, Mike, and thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
One of the nice parts about being retired is leaving before the meeting starts.
Very good, very good. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilperson Walker?
Present.
Councilperson Cassidy?
Present.
Councilperson Danke?
Present.
Councilperson D'Alessandro?
Present.
Supervisor Hickman?
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have, the town board has been given the minutes for the September 25th, September 27th, and the October 3rd special meeting, 2012 special meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Any change or corrections to the minutes?
No, there's not.
There being none, do I have a motion to approve those minutes for September 25th, September 27th, and October 3rd, 2012?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item is for public comments on agenda items only. This is a time of the meeting where anybody can get up and speak on any agenda items. Although I know there's a lot of people here that probably for one specific item, if you'd like to wait, we'll be getting to that in just a few minutes. So, with that, Madam Clerk, receive and file. Do we have anything under receive and file this evening?
No, we do not.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We have two public hearings scheduled for tonight. I don't think everybody here is going to sit through a public hearing with respect to revisions to definitions in the town zoning ordinance, so I think we probably should go right to the reopened public hearing, the adjourned public hearing on workforce housing. Please don't let me forget to go back to the first public hearing when we're done with the second public hearing. So before we start, I would just like to make an announcement that Reagan Development has withdrawn the application for the workforce housing project on Joe Smothers Road. I sort of expected that.
I thought they were all here for Mike Tomkovich.
I know, so did Mike.
They didn't come from Mike Tomkovich?
So did Mike Tomkovich, that was a good thing. I would like, a few things I would like to point out. The town board has been looking at this application. About 2 years ago, Mr. Regan came before the town board, and he brought up he brought up a project that he says he has done this in many other places. He says we create workforce housing projects. We've done many of them, and he has done many of them. He said we become part of the town. He said we live here, we run them, Excuse me?
Can't hear you.
All right. Do you want to try to squeeze in a little bit? Come on, try to squeeze in a little bit. Not too bad. You can sit down up front here if you want. You can sit down on the front.
There's chairs over here.
Anyway, Mr. Regan had come into the town. He said, this is what we do. We've done several of these, and he has indeed done several of them. He said, we come here, we build these projects, we don't sell them. We stay, we run them. We become part of the family of the town. We were very happy with that because, you know, there's a lot of different needs in the town of East Fishkill when it comes to housing. So I was very thrilled about it because I do believe that Mr. Regan is sincere. So the project went on for quite a while, probably about 2 years, I guess it went on. And the town board and I had some questions, many of the same questions that everybody here had at the adjourned public hearing. Obviously, the schools is a big concern, and many of the other issues. We also had some maintenance concerns I think Councilman Danke brought up. Councilman Danke, Councilman D'Alessandro actually went to several other sites to see how this is done in other parts of the state. Westchester County and Dutchess County, they didn't go that far. But we put a lot of work into this, so we had a dialogue back and forth with Mr. Regan. And, you know, we had some issues, and in the end, we weren't satisfied, and really came down to a point about a week ago. He's saying to me, how's your board feel about this? I said, Larry, it's not going to work. I don't feel the board can support this in this fashion. So that was a tough thing for him. He said, okay, I understand, and he eventually this afternoon withdrew his application. Again, I think he was sincere, but we had discovered what we considered some very serious issues of operations and management in one of his projects. So that being said, we were always a little bit concerned about it. So Mr. Regan has pulled his application. Now, a lot of people, obviously, I've been getting a lot of calls, a lot of people walking in, and you know, to this application, you know. So Mr. Regan has pulled it, again, because of the issues that we felt were very significant. We're here for you. We would not want to entertain something that isn't going to work for the town. I even said this on Cablevision when we were interviewed a few weeks ago. Whatever project comes in has got to work for the property owner, but it's got to work for the town of East Fishkill, and that's what we want to see happen. There is a certain portion of the workforce, of the housing force, that needs this type of housing. What we're not going to see now is that the one building was for senior citizens. I had some seniors call and ask and stop in, and no, there will not be a senior housing built out there, this part of this project. That was the Section 8 seniors, was the Section 8. There was an MS section. That will not be there, and that was also a Section 8. So I say this because, and I have a flyer that I'm really, really not happy about. It said Section 8 is coming to your town. Yeah, the Section 8 was for the seniors and the MS patients. So I think the flyer was misleading, and I think it was sad, because I have no problem talking and debating, but we'll talk about the flyer in a minute. There were to be two sections of workforce housing, and they're going to be divided into workforce housing, and they use a percentage of the county median. It was going to be 60% of the county median, so I believe those people could actually make up to $57,000 a year. The 90%, I believe that was up to like $70,000 a year. So I know everybody has been saying, my ears are ringing. This is what we've been hearing the last few days. No Section 8, no Section 8. The Section 8 was seniors and MS. There was components there for real workforce housing. A lady stopped in to see me, and she said to me, you know, I've lived here my whole life. My husband lost his job. I don't know if I can stay here. This is a place that I could stay. So again, I feel that flyer was very disingenuous, and all I've been hearing is Section 8. Understanding that this is a very complex issue, we need to provide housing for different strata of the economy. My wife lost her job 3 years ago. She works as a temp. I might be able to qualify for something like this. So, but it's a very complex thing, because you want to make sure that whatever's in there works for the town of East Fishkill. And I think that's the bottom line. So Mr. Regan has pulled his application, and I'm sure there's going to be something to follow. But what I would ask is, I would like to have a public forum on public housing, or workforce housing, so we can talk about it, so you can understand, what is this going to serve? Is this going to serve somebody who's been here for 30 years that maybe can't afford something to buy a house in town of East Fishkill? I know young people that graduate, that actually serve in the fire district, fire departments, they can't live here. They buy places somewhere else. I know one young lady who graduated college, she got a job, but she can't, there's no place in East Fishkill for her. These, in my mind, these are the people we're trying to serve. But again, it's very complex, because these are the people we want to serve. And the seniors, we need senior housing. So that being said, I would like to have two things I would like to have. I'm going to propose to have a public forum on workforce housing. I think a lot of this is just people not being sure what we're having here. And I do blame that, a little bit of that on Mr. Regan, because I don't think he wasn't here, he didn't have the people to answer the questions. But I think we need to know. And I would also, if somebody would like to serve on it, why don't we have a workforce housing board? Let's have some of the public input. Let's have some people step forward and volunteer. We'll sit down. Because this is a very tough problem. We can't turn our backs on people that need it. They could be our kids. They could be some of our neighbors that might have lost a job, and they could be our seniors. So this is a very difficult problem, and I would ask for the help of the public with this. So that being said, I will be having a public workforce housing public forum in a few months, and I would invite everybody here to come. Now let's talk about it. Let's see what workforce housing really is. I don't want a workforce housing project that isn't going to be something the town can be proud of. That's the bottom line, and I know I can speak for every member of my board, because we've been wrestling with this for probably 3 months now. Probably more like 6 months with these issues. We want something that's going to work for the town. We want something that's going to address the needs of people who are either less fortunate or our seniors, and that's where we're going to go with this. So I just wanted to make that announcement. I knew we would get a round of applause when I announced that the application had been withdrawn, but I do feel strongly that we just can't turn our back on this subject. As far as, I would just say this is a flyer that was distributed that, if you just bear with me, I do take a bit of issue with. Section 8 is coming to your town. As I explained, that was the seniors and that was the MS patients. Your town is hiding this from you. Another one I have here, 1, 2, I should have counted before, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 copies of the cover pages of the minutes from the East Fishkill Planning Board. It wasn't hidden from anybody. It's been on the planning board agenda. I imagine, and Tom, I'd have to ask, I don't travel down 82, I live on the 52 side. That sign out front had to be changed for every public hearing, correct?
The sign was posted 20 days before the town board public hearing. And in addition, above the state law requirements of publishing just in the paper, anyone within 500 feet of the project was sent a letter advising them of the public hearing. And the public hearing in September was the first formal public hearing. And it was on the planning board agenda, as you've indicated,
Yep.
for quite some time as an agenda item. And all those meetings are also broadcast on Channel 20.
On Channel 20. And also, he's appeared before our board twice. So, as I say, I have a little problem with this. We put my name on it, obviously. They didn't put their name on it. And, but that's okay. I mean, I tell you the truth, this is democracy, and we need to work together. We need to solve these problems. That's all I got to say. I hope everybody's happy the application's been pulled. And I'm sure there will be something else, either there or somewhere else, but maybe we could educate ourselves a little bit and maybe work together and see what we can do. With that being said, I'm going to open up the public hearing for just a little bit. Do I have a motion to open the adjourned public hearing on the workforce housing?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The public hearing on the workforce housing is now reopened. I think we've heard pretty much, yes, sir. If you'd like to say something, you may feel free to step up to the microphone.
I'm Anthony Romano. I've been a resident of town of East Fishkill for 44 years. And I was one of the business owners on Route 82 from 1980 to 1989. In about 1982, the Department of Transportation came and with a new design for Route 82, and that's the present one with the turning lane, all right? It's become, some people call it a suicide lane. It's become a passing lane for many people, and it's a very dangerous situation. In addition, if you go to Fishkill Village or Beacon, they have crosswalks. I tried crossing 82 twice, and it looked like it was clear. Person was turning, and then somebody passed, and I was almost hit twice. You look at the number of people who try to cross 82. Now, it wouldn't, I've seen in your office that proposed bypass road, which might be a good idea. But personally, I think if we had the DOT come in here for probably a lot less money, if they could erase those signs or the road markings and just put in a lane each way and a wider shoulder, you wouldn't have the problem that you have with a turning lane.
Well, I'm not a traffic expert. We have had our traffic engineers look at that. One thing that is, if you do widen it, you lose a sidewalk on the other side. You can't have crosswalks because you need crosswalks on both sides to have, sidewalks on both sides to have a crosswalk. We're looking in the future, we're looking at that project, at that whole hamlet project with our traffic engineers. But as you stated, this is a DOT road. And although we might tell DOT we would like this, or this is how we'd like to see it, it is ultimately a DOT decision.
Well, there were times where this doesn't apply necessarily, where there is no traffic light. And I remember Route 55 and North Cross Road, very dangerous, where I know there was a crash where a young man and a young girl were coming from Arlington High School, and somebody, maybe a drunk driver, didn't stop. They were both killed. Then a light went up. That happens too often.
Right.
This isn't a traffic light, but I have talked to the chief of police at one point, and he says, I agree with you. They should not have this crossing lane. It should be, with wide shoulders on either side. People could turn a lot easier than trying to turn from the turning lane.
Right.
And I think it also would give pedestrians a chance to cross Route 82. And
I understand your thoughts on that. Again, that's a DOT. I mean, it would be more appropriate to have somebody from
you want me to go
DOT.
to the DOT now, talk to the DOT?
Well, I don't have authority over Route 82. I mean, we were looking to
I
do
understand
whatever
that.
we can do.
However, just like they came here and we had a meeting with the DOT, all the merchants. Then they came up with their design. They had an idea, but we had some input with them. I think we still can have input with them. It could be done with petitions.
If you'd like to petition, I
And
can.
also, I think it could be done by the town board.
Sir, please, and we are getting a little off the subject. The subject was the public hearing on the workforce housing. Traffic is one of the concerns that we had with this project. If you would like, I would write a letter to the DOT asking them if they would sit down. Who would they sit down with? Local business owners in the hamlet?
There's one other factor.
No, I'm just asking. I want to finish on
All
this
right,
thought.
I'm talking about the same thing, about this
You would like to
situation.
have DOT come down? I can invite them, and who?
The other thing, if you check the speed limit at which cars go through at rush hour, many of them go faster than 35 miles per hour. I know right now you have an inoperative piece of equipment that shows the electronically the speed of a car. I talked to one of the police officers, said it's not operative right now.
Right.
I had mentioned to one of the police officers, maybe if you, during rush hour, if you set a car up there, for a period, maybe about a whole week or so, maybe it would have an effect upon the speed that cars go through on Route 82. Also, it's already very crowded. We have a new development being built on Old Fishkill Road,
Right.
which is supposed to have 280 units. I would estimate there will be probably, because many of them are commuters, at least 500 cars. That builder has only one exit on Route 376. That means the majority of cars will be going on 82 or 376. 500 more cars.
Right.
That should be a concern as well.
That's a concern that DOT is addressing as we speak.
Okay.
They are addressing that. Tom, what have we done? What did you call it?
The development that he speaks of was required to pay $850,000 to DOT, and DOT is now in the process of either realigning Fishkill Road, coming up with a plan for that, or making modifications to 82. But the developer's fair share of that was $850,000, which now DOT world works in 5-year and 10-year and 8-year plans. If they are ready to do a plan, they probably do what they did in 82. They come down and they vet it with the public and the community. Our understanding from DOT is that they are working on several concepts, knowing that they have this $850,000 to move it up from a 5-year plan to maybe a 3-year plan. And they will, once they have a design concept in mind, come down to the community to reach out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a problem with this Section 8 housing or anything with that. My problem is I live on Fishkill Road.
Okay.
And before we approve additional housing, we're not at capacity with Toll Brothers yet.
Right.
I would love to see us, let's see how that traffic flows. Let's wait for the DOT to fix Fishkill Road or whatever they're going to do. But I have no shoulder on that road. I leave my house at 5:50 in the morning. I still have to wait to make a left-hand turn out onto 82 in the morning. And the
Right.
concept of putting housing on the other end of Fishkill
Yeah.
Road, to me, didn't make any sense. And I feel like, East Fishkill's a municipality, but it's not immune to lawsuits if we don't look ahead and address the issues of traffic. I don't have a problem with development, it's just we need to address the traffic issues before we put additional housing. So that's my only concern.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm pleased that we're not going to have Reagan as a developer. I do understand that we need some type of workforce housing, but I'm very concerned that they were considered because what they've built in Fishkill is not a happy place.
That was one of the issues that we brought up to them several times.
So my concern is, how do we make sure that that doesn't happen again, that we're not talking about the density that was proposed there? I don't really see people who want to live in this town wanting to live in a development similar to the one that was built in Fishkill. And I'm pretty sure that they were probably promised that that would also be appropriate workforce housing.
Right.
So how do we get ordinances on the book, make sure that that does not occur? Is your public forum going to address that?
Oh, well, our public forum will talk about workforce housing and its concepts and what it really means. What you're talking about now, and part of the law is that they would have to come get a special permit from the town board.
Right.
We did our due diligence. We looked at Fishkill. We spoke with several of the elected officials in Fishkill and also with the chief of police. And that is one of the main drivers of our decision that we don't want to see this. He does have many other projects that do not seem to have the same issues as Fishkill, but we still felt, Fishkill is a problem. We cannot have that here. I think the only thing that we can really do is do our due diligence.
Was the density ever considered as an issue? Because when you look at their building, there's very little land and property. The complex, when you drive through, because I did take the time to do that, the buildings are extremely close to the road.
In Fishkill.
In Fishkill.
Yeah, they are. There's like nothing left.
That's
they have
right.
little strips of grass and a little thing here. Yeah. Actually, their density had come down. I forget what it was. It was in the mid-80s to 60 to 68 as the last proposal. So, but that's
Okay.
something that the planning board, when you look at a site plan, that's considered.
Okay, thank you.
Could you just state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lorraine Blazak.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Lorraine
Lorraine.
Blazak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ethel. Okay.
Good evening. My name's Nick Peshniak, and I just wanted to express my thoughts that I think we should follow up with something on low-income housing, senior housing. In 2001, when the town master plan was redrafted, that was one of the goals in there in conjunction with the county. Up until this date, what has the town thus far implemented as far as meeting?
What have we done?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little tough. Actually, early on when I was first elected, I actually convened a workforce housing board at that time too. We sat down with the then town planner and we talked about the issues. But what happens, Nick, is that we're the town. We typically don't build them. We set
Right.
the zoning, we set the bulk regulations that allow these things to happen. And obviously, after 2007, the bottom fell out. WCI, the developers, was going to build a big senior complex across the street, 220 units. Then they went into bankruptcy not long after they got the plans into the planning board. So, we're looking at that. Actually, we have now purchased the property, and we're revisiting that for some senior housing over there, too. In this economic environment, it's hard to have developers come in and to do that. One thing that we do have, which I think is a pretty neat idea, is that the previous administration actually set what they call 10% set aside.
Right.
Toll Brothers, the WCI Four Corners, as they build 10% are set aside, scattered throughout the development. And I thought that that's a nice idea to do it, but there's nowhere near the volume to address the need.
Okay.
And especially with those developments have slowed right down.
I know.
So you're not seeing new housing coming on board as quick as we'd like to see.
Well, one other thing that was discussed with the redrafting was also an issue with traffic at the intersection there of Palin Road and Fishkill Road, and it was to more or less align Fishkill and Palin to make it a four-way intersection.
That's what they looked at, yeah. They had these issues with the railroad tracks that run through there.
Okay, 'cause
Actually, you know what DOT actually looked at, which I thought was a pretty cool idea, though I don't drive around them, the roundabouts.
Right.
They actually proposed putting a roundabout right there, and it would be like a real roundabout. Now I don't do roundabouts well, because I go to Vassar College, and I kind of get looping around them. But I thought that would be pretty nice if I could learn how to use it. But DOT, again, because of the railroad tracks, those railroad tracks, even though they're never used, has really affected DOT's realignment of that whole intersection. So they are back out again doing more drafting and more studies.
Okay.
So something will happen, but those railroad tracks are a real problem. And I guess not everybody here likes roundabouts either, but.
All right, thank you.
Sure thing.
Hi, my name is Lisa Dwyer. I attend a lot of this, actually, almost every school board meeting that I can, because I live kind of on the edge of East Fishkill. We, as a neighborhood, were just brought back into East Fishkill schools where we should be.
Yep.
And my concern with any new construction is that
You'd be bumped out again.
as we grow, we get bumped out again.
You know, that came up, and I
so-
didn't realize that that was an issue till one of our planning board members mentioned it at the joint meeting we just had last month, and absolutely, that's another
Yeah.
reason that we didn't feel this was a project we could support, just because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I know, Wappingers, they've got their own issues. It's a very large district and trying to deal with.
But it's concentrated right here.
Yeah, all the
And that's-
growth, unfortunately, in the district right now is happening down here, which
Yeah.
is good,
Yeah.
but it's pushing everybody up and pushing our kids out of town.
Yeah, and we don't want that.
Right,
So, and we understand that, we support you 100%.
good.
Yeah, hi, good evening. My name is Emmanuel Marinaro. I just want to pick up on a point that the young lady just made. Some of these projects in other town are paid by federal money, which right now, as we know, the cost of the federal government that is affecting all of us. There is two reasons why this project, and I'm happy that it's squashed. One is the cost to the taxpayers. It's one.
Which cost is that?
Correct.
Which cost is that?
Well, in other words, the money that is used to fund the program, it's federal money.
It's
So,
taxpayer money.
Correct.
It comes out of this pocket and goes out.
Right now,
Yeah.
the pocket is empty.
I just want to make a correction. I believe it's state money, not federal money.
I'm sorry?
State.
Correct. It comes from the federal government.
No.
It
I
came,
This
It's purely straight-
project, this
is it-
project was going to be
Purely
partially funded by tax credits that would be purchased from New York State.
okay, but how much of the money?
The mortgage would be held by HUD, so in that way, it was a HUD mortgage.
It's still taxpayers' money.
And the money, and the project itself would pay an interest payment and an
Correct.
amortization over 40 years.
It's taxpayers' money.
But I understand your trade.
I think
so.
it's rent.
My point is this, how much of the developer own money was going to be put into this?
I think he was putting up, one number we heard was about $1 million towards the cost.
Okay, so
And then all of
that's,
the
my
people,
point is,
then
my-
the other investors get tax credits for putting their money in, and then the mortgage would be for the balance of the project cost.
okay. My point is, there was taxpayers' money, one. Second of all, the infrastructure, we will have to absorb a lot of those costs.
Well, they would
They
be
were paying
paying
for that.
taxes based on the rent.
Not as
just like
much, not as much as the rest of the
It would be assessed
community.
in the same way as Hopewell Garden Apartments,
Yeah.
et cetera. It's on an income level basis, while the rents were restricted as affordable, which would impact the amount of the tax. The assessment process is the same as any rental property in the town.
And they were
Correct.
also, and they were also going to provide $500,000 for infrastructure and any impacts.
But as
of the
far as
project.
affecting the infrastructure, the schools and everything else,
Well, the
Would
school
have-
district, in the environmental review process, the school district sent a letter saying, based on the annual census of students in the school district, that they were able to accommodate it. The sub-issue.
Tom, the schools right now, Tom, the schools right now are
Excuse me,
overloaded with,
Excuse me. Excuse
Tom,
me.
The
Tom.
sub-issue that it caused would have been the reallocation of students to different schools.
right now, our schools are overcrowded as they are. You know it and I know it.
Excuse me, if I may, just one second, and I'd like to say something to the public, two things, please, while they're talking, please don't make all that noise. And the other thing is, that the attorney is correct, that when the application made to the planning board as part of the SEQRA State Environmental Equality Review Act, all impacts are vetted. One being the school system. A letter is sent to the school district saying these are the amount of children that would be coming in. What is your thoughts? they reply back to the planning board, and I hate to say it, but typically, Wappinger Central School District doesn't seem to have any problems with these things. But that's, and a lot of these things that we're discussing tonight have been already discussed in the, these are planning board issues, but that's how it works with SEQA and the school system, just to let you know.
Right.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to mention, I know that you're talking about two different things. One is low-income homes, one is senior citizens homes. I mean, we could address these issues at one and not put the two of them together, because senior citizen maybe it's in more need right now than low-income homes in this community. There is an aging population, as you know. And there is, as far as low-income homes, we have a lot of other ways that we could address that. So I'm all in favor of that. The other thing that you said, that people cannot live in this community any longer, we tried to address this a couple of years ago. And I know I was here addressing about that. I think business should be revamped in this community. It's not. You know, I kind of...
How are we trying to address that, though?
Well, you should have maybe the business community get together with you and the rest of the board and come up with ideas. That will bring tax to the community. It would alleviate the taxpayers' burden as far as that is concerned. We have not done anything about that. 2 years ago, I spoke about that. So that could be a very important thing. There's a lot of empty stores. We have to make it
Understood.
friendly environment for the business
I
community.
actually put an ad for economic people that were interested in economic development, and I got basically nobody came forward with that. But I know Councilman D'Alessandro and I have been talking recently about involving the businesses in this. I would like to see the whole Hamlet Strip be revitalized, and that's something that we would like to see.
That's very important. That's extremely important.
Absolutely. I have to say one thing, though, because I was speaking with the attorney earlier today. We were talking about the study on housing needs. You remember that? We were talking about the planner's housing study. And actually it said that one of the areas that needed to be addressed in the town of East Fishkill wasn't the lower income, was actually more of a higher.
It's like 80% of median income.
Yeah, which would be like about, I don't know, would that be $70,000, $80,000, something like that. So, I mean, so when we talk about this, we're talking about an income level of people that are working people that need this type of housing. That's really what we're trying to address.
We are, you know, on a local level, I would like to see more of that done. It has not. It's really been neglected. We're trying to spend money that probably that we don't have, that we're going to use taxpayers' money. I just want to finish my thought. And rather than using the community to revamp and try to keep business in the area and create more tax on that thing. That, as I said, will bring tax down for some of the taxpayers. Even if they go up 1.9, they're still going up.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons why people are moving out of this area. They can no longer live here. We're talking about senior citizens who are on a steady income.
Understood.
They have to move out. They can't live in there no longer. Everything else is affecting the gas, oil, food prices. This is what you guys got to keep in mind. And it's important.
I'm
2
like
years, John,
everybody
I've been
else,
saying
Manny.
this.
I face that every day.
And I'm saying it over here again tonight.
Yeah.
Something has to be done.
We feel, I don't know if you, I feel the pain, just like everybody else does. Luckily, I don't work far from home.
I feel
so the gas
pain.
isn't
I feel
bad,
pain.
But
And what you just said before, that the young lady couldn't find work over here. Remember 2 years ago, I was objecting to pay raises for the official in the town. Some people did not take it, some people did take it. If somebody makes $150,000, that 3% really is not going to change his lifestyle. But we are affecting the whole community when you guys keep on raising that 2%, 1.9, whatever it is. It's pushing people out of our communities, and that's sad.
okay, thank you. No, and like as the gentleman says, we all know times are tough. I mean, I feel it myself, just like everybody else here does. So, we're trying our best, and I think in the town, we are pretty strident in watching our expenses and what we spend. So, I'm very happy with what we do here. We try our best. Yes, ma'am. You have to step back up there. You might have to say your name again, too.
Lorraine Blazak. The
Lorraine.
comment was that Wappinger Central School District had space for extra children. And when that comment was made and Wappingers was asked, that was before Wappingers went full-day kindergarten and doubled the amount of kindergarten classrooms in the district. We have 10 elementary schools. Even in a small school, there are we went from 2 to 4 kindergarten classrooms. So
Wow.
if you ask today,
Yeah, it'd
the
be a
answer
different
might be
answer.
very different.
Yeah. When did that happen? When did they
It
change that?
happened in September.
Oh, just this year?
Yes.
So when they made this application, they sent their letter up there, obviously it was still the smaller kindergarten classes.
Yes, half day.
Okay, yeah.
So 2 classrooms.
Okay.
Now becomes 4. If you're at Gay Head, 4 becomes 8, or 5 becomes
Wow.
10.
Okay. Good
So
point.
very different situation today.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll take a couple more questions, then we have to move on to other items on the agenda. Yes, sir.
How you doing, Chris Provincial?
Yes.
With regards to the low income, either for workforce or for the, for older folks, now the flyer said Section 8, but is that something you're considering?
Section 8 that the gentleman came in and proposed
Or some variation
was
of
for the
of
seniors and for
subsidy?
the, that was never discussed by us, no.
So just for clarification, so as far as workforce goes, that's not what you're speaking of? In other words,
No,
that, there's
was
no Section 8 there?
That was 60 to 90% of the
I
county
realize this
median.
project is now squashed, so as
Right.
the gentleman mentioned before, but going forward, is that something you guys are considering?
I'm not sure about Section 8 for seniors. I don't see a problem with it for senior citizens that get state aid. That I don't have a problem with. But when I talk about workforce housing, I want people that are working and making a living wage. And I think that's what I'd like to see it geared to.
So that I can understand, but not necessarily a subsidy?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Jackie Prusak, and I've lived in this area since 1965. I'm a retired teacher with Wappinges. And I'm talking tonight about preserving the historic homes that we have. I'm also a trustee for the East Fishkill Historical Society. We have lost many homes around East Fishkill, and we're losing one right up the corner here on Beekman Road
Yep.
and 82. They're putting in a shopping plaza there, like we need another shopping plaza.
I've never heard about a shopping plaza going in there.
Well, news is going around about that. If it's incorrect, then you should send notes out to the town or have it publicized in the paper.
Has there ever been, there's no application, so I mean, if you're telling us
Well,
what they're
he's
going to do.
doing something there. And also the barn that was destroyed on Route 52, across the street
Yeah, I
from
know.
the
I was
town police.
very upset about that barn, because that was
Yes,
a very
so were
special
we.
barn.
What are you going to do to preserve Mildred Dougherty's home, which is, once it was a Quaker home, where it was part of the Underground Railroad? I know, because I've been in that house. We've got to preserve it. I know there's nothing written in the town laws that preserves these homes. What are you going to do to
The
preserve
Historic
that home?
Society had asked me, and I forwarded the letter to our town planner to talk about putting together a law to preserve historic houses, historic homes, just like the
Yes.
one down there, which I think is...
It's gone, Los
is just a
Picados.
terrible, terrible thing that is
Terrible.
happening down there. I mean, unfortunately, I would like to think like people would take care of their homes. I was born here. My family's been here for many, many years.
Yes.
So I love the old homes, and I was really, really upset when they took down the barn on 52. We are looking at drafting law. That house, I believe, was going to stay.
preserved. It would have
A
been
lot of times when we talk to the people, like a developer would come in, we say, we'd like to preserve that house, and they would preserve it for caretaker's house or something like that. The other one was over, I think, in Lake Walton. There was a house over
I'd just
there.
like to point out, while the town doesn't have an ordinance on it.
That's right.
What happens is whenever a project comes in, no matter what kind of project, there's a referral made to the State Office of Historic
Yes.
Preservation, SHPO. And that office does an extensive review of any pertinent historical information for an area or site. That information is then given back to the planning board, and the planning board's usually very conscientious in trying to assure that these buildings are, while they've never been declared historic structures
That's
in a
right.
formal way, the town does have a register of historic properties in the town. That's also used by the planner, and most of the projects that I've been involved with now as town attorney, the board certainly works with the developer to try to make sure that the building is preserved or maintained as
Right.
part of the overall project. As on this project, that house would have been maintained, I think, for the caretaker's
Caretaker,
residence,
yeah.
but it would have been
Yeah.
restored to a livable
But we couldn't preserve the barn, and we couldn't preserve the house on Beekman and 82.
Well, the bond became an issue of a structural issue. That's the one by the daycare.
town
Yeah.
police,
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that
There was a
one,
structural
yeah.
issue there, and we don't have, and I don't believe a town can create a point where you can force a property owner to expend funds to fix a historic
But I
building.
understand Bosco Bell was interested in that barn, too. Something could have been done with that.
Well, that was, yes, I couldn't agree with you.
So I think we've got to work harder to preserve these buildings, because once they're gone, there's no way that we can restore them. We've lost
understand
our
that.
history.
I understand that. My
Okay.
grandfather's barn's gone. My grandparents' house is just not like it was, so I couldn't agree with you more.
Okay.
With that, I'm going to close the public hearing. One more quick comment, please. Do we have other work to do tonight?
Okay, I'll be very quick.
I have to get back to that other public hearing on the definitions, which is really going to be a very interesting subject.
I'll be quick. I'm Mary Seminara. I want to express my thanks to the board for taking serious consideration and thought to this project, and I also am very happy that this project is not going forth as designed by Regan Development. I think that we do need workforce housing in this town, and one of my concerns about the project as designed was the density. I looked at the plans, and there was really very little green space left. So I hope in future considerations that we do try to maintain a design that sort of blends into our community a little more closely than this particular project did. And the other thing that I was very concerned about, as brought forth by the developer, was their definition of who could live in this. And I sent you all a letter outlining sort of what the town of Amenia does to make sure that the workforce housing is for people who live, work, and volunteer in the towns.
Actually, yeah.
I don't know what is outlined for East Fishkill.
Actually, it's a lot like our law on the 10% set aside.
Great.
And ours is administered through Hudson River Housing. They have the criteria, same as they do.
Okay.
Police officer, local, whatever.
Right.
Resident, stuff like that.
Okay, so is that something I can read somewhere? Is that posted on the website? Is
Yeah,
there?
it should be something.
Because I couldn't find anything.
I'll find it, Mary, if you want
But
to.
anyway,
Give me a call.
I will, okay, and thank you.
Yeah, great, thank you very much. All right, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing on the proposed workforce housing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, people.
Good morning, Bernie.
I hope some of these people sit on the
On the workforce
on the
housing. I think
workforce
that would be a
housing
nice
board.
thing. All right. Are we ready? Do I have a, we can move on, right?
I'll give my minute.
All righty. May I have a motion to open the public hearing on the, let me just find it. The
Revisions.
Revision to the definition section of the town zoning ordinance.
Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. The public hearing is now open. Tom, would you just like to give us a little quick roundup of what this is all about?
This actually came to the town board from the planning and zoning boards. Often in both in the planning process, our ordinance requires buffers and setbacks, and they were conflicting. They didn't clearly say what could be within a setback as opposed to a buffer area. So the zoning board and the planning board worked very diligently together and have recommended to the town board that the zoning ordinance be amended to clarify the definition of a structure, because, you know, commonly everybody thinks of it just as a house, but this could be other structures that are built in property. It clarifies the definition of a buffer area and a setback area. Buffer area is actually an area that's not to be disturbed between one zoning district to another. We have buffer areas along the Taconic Parkway into State 84, and in going through this law, you'll see that all of the conflicts have been hopefully resolved, and it's been clarified as to what you can have in a buffer area as opposed to a setback area, etc. And this will probably reduce at least 20 applications a year to the zoning board, because oftentimes what happens is when there's a discussion at the planning
They
board
come in
and
for
you
an
have that in a
interpretation.
setback, whatever, they have to appeal to the zoning board, and this should, clear out a good bunch of that. So basically, that's what this does. It's in an odd format because some of this information goes into the table of permitted uses in the zoning ordinance and becomes footnotes.
Thank you. 30 seconds was really all I required. But that sums it up. I did notice reviewing it, boy, there's a whole lot about setbacks and buffers. Never really thought there was that much of an issue about. All right, anybody on the board, any questions? This was reviewed by the zoning board, the planning board, and I believe the town attorneys reviewed it. We're good with it?
Yes.
Yes.
And the town planner and Dutchess County Planning.
Oh, Dutchess County's involved too. All right, anybody from the audience like to speak for or against or comment on the revisions to the definitions in the town zoning ordinance? There being none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Do I have a motion to adopt a negative declaration?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Do I have a motion to enact local law with respect to revisions to definition section in the town zoning ordinance?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. The zoning changes the definitions changes have been made. Good resolutions. The first resolution to approve a bond reduction for Toll Brothers, the Hopewell Glen subdivision. Planning Board has reviewed said request and recommended a reduction to the town board. That the performance bond posted by Toll Brothers for the Hopewell Glen subdivision in the amount of $2,672,400 be reduced to $1,589,700 for Phase 1, and the second performance bond posted by Toll Brothers for this project in the amount of $1,870,000 be reduced to $844,800 for Phase 2. Scott, have you reviewed these?
Yes, I have. Yeah, we went through all the items and we concur.
Okay, we're good with this. All right, the town engineer is good with this. Do I have a motion to authorize these bond reductions? So, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is to increase the water budget for the Cannon property. Scott, give us just a little 30-second update.
30 seconds.
Yeah, we
Okay.
tried.
We started out drilling 4 test wells, and while we did find good results with water volume, we did have turbidity. So what we're looking to do now is relocate further away from the Fishkill Creek and more towards the Waterkill Creek, and see if we can get a little better water quality at those locations.
Okay.
And then the other part is we're going to also drill a couple of rock wells. And again, part of that is to make sure that any surplus property that we may have isn't a source of water, so we can plan properly.
Good, good. So we'll be able to plan property, our use for that property. We've drilled 4 gravel wells to different depths, but we do have the water is there.
Yeah, we had 60 gallons a minute, I think 50 gallons a minute out of just a 2-inch line, which translates to 200 to 300 gallons a minute.
Wow.
In a full well, but it would be a gamble at this point to develop it because of the turbidity. So we want to try to find a spot where the water is much clearer.
Okay.
And hopefully the same amount of volume.
Okay, and when would we be doing this?
The gravel wells, as of right now, we're scheduled to start next week, aside from the storm, I guess that's coming. And the rock wells, we're still waiting to hear, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, good. And we've been trying, I know that we had the well drillers in a couple weeks ago. I know the people that live out there in the Ryan Drive Superfund site have been waiting and waiting, but I do believe that we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, and I think we're going to be able to find our water source across the street. And I think the EPA will consent to using that as a source of water for the Superfund site. So we're very excited. So we'll keep moving on the well drillers.
Keep you posted, yes.
Okay, very good. With that, do I have a motion to increase the water budget? And Scott, how much we were gonna increase that by $50,000?
Yeah, 50 or 55.
Yeah. What do we think when we get done with this, the well drilling?
50,000.
Okay.
The resolution.
Okay, very good. Do I have a motion to increase?
Could I just ask,
Yes.
what do you think the chances are we'll find good, clean water in the next phase?
Well, if you ask the guy who actually drilled the hole, the guy in the field, he says, I don't care what all the experts say, you gotta move a little further away from the creek. He says, that's where you'll find your clean water, so fingers crossed that he's right.
Yeah, yeah. What I like it better is the engineer puts it, when we drill these holes and we come up with silty water, we have 147 acres, we're gonna find the spot where it's clean.
Hopefully.
So,
They had a similar in Monroe where it was the 7th well,
okay,
and they were getting a little discouraged. The 7th well, they got 450 gallons in it.
really, of
It
good,
was in between two wells that,
yeah, yeah,
so,
okay.
I don't know if it's a science as much as an art or as much as some luck, but.
Cautiously optimistic. So, anybody else, any other questions, Nick?
You're still confident in the same well driller?
I'm sorry?
You're still confident in the same well driller?
Well, we had a change, actually, and I'll tell you why. We went with a vehicle that was truck mounted because they were a little less expensive, but their access was limited. And with the rain that we've had, you know, it's slick down there, so now we're going to a second firm because they have a track mounted rig. They're a little more expensive, but they can get around the site better, so.
But they're supervised by an engineer, LPG.
LBG is the hydrogeologist.
Yeah,
that-
they're still there.
that supervises
Same
it.
company.
Yeah.
Overseeing it.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to increase the water budget for the Cannon property?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. And I know, Scott, we're hoping by the end of October to have some more results.
Yes.
Okay, good. All righty, number 3, to approve letter of map revision that we've received from FEMA. I'd like to table that for further review by our engineering people. Number 4 is refer the Echo Cottage application to the planning board. We know the Echo Cottage, they've been in, they gave us a presentation, they've actually supplied us with the law. And I'm sure, Tom, you've looked at the law as far
Yes,
as
I
the
mean,
Echo
the process
Cottage.
would be send to the planning board and get their comments, and then the board can utilize that to decide if you're going to go further.
Would that be sent to the county also?
Not at this point. If you get back the comments from the town planning board and you're ready to go forward to a public hearing, at that point, you would refer it.
Okay. So this is really just a motion, a resolution to refer the Echo Cottage application law to the planning board.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 5 is to award the snowplow bids for the 2012-2013 season. We actually, I gotta say that our highway superintendent, our town engineer, and our town clerk worked very diligently on the bid process, and I gotta tell you, I think it's going very well. We have 18 routes that we sub out, and all the other routes we cover with our town people. And if you'd like, I could just, we can accept them. I can run through it real quick. Number 1, these are the low bidders, would be Route 1, Stone Ledge Enterprises, $140 an hour. Route 2, Metzger Construction, $230 an hour. Route 3, TKS Excavating, $120 an hour. Route 4, Stone Ledge Enterprises, $129 an hour. Route 5, Glencar, $130 an hour. Route 6, Glencar, $100 an hour. Route 7, Metzger Corp., $230 an hour. Route 8, TKS, $103 an hour. Route 9, $129 an hour. Stone Ledge, Route 10, Metzger Corp., $230. Route 11 is Timber Tree Service, $85. Route 12 is $120, TKS. Route 13 is $105, Glencar. Route 14 is $105, Schofield. Route 15 is Deer Run Landscaping, $95. Route 16 is $230, Metzger Construction Corp. Route 17 is $140, Stone Ledge, and Route 18 is $140 an hour, Tim Paraskiva. And these are different, these sound like different numbers, that's because some of the routes have big trucks, some have small trucks, some have bigger plows, I guess, wings and stuff like that, correct?
Second operator, yes.
Yeah, and second operator too. If you have a wing, you have a second operator too. So these are the low bids as were submitted and opened up last week. And then we have for winter material for the sidewalks in the town of East Fishkill, Paraskiva, skid steer, $140 an hour, and dump truck, $140 an hour. Sand and gravel is from Thale Industries, $13, Scott, is that a ton? $13 a ton. FOB,
$13
freight
a
on?
ton, picked up Route 9.
Okay, freight on board Route 9. And a helper truck, an F-350 TKS, $103 an hour. So these were the low bids for those items. So with that, do I have a motion to award the snowplow bids for the 2012-2013 season? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 6 is to authorize approval for streetlights to be installed in, actually, I increased the number of locations. And what this is, some of these streetlights, we've had requests for streetlights. Some of them will be, we have a town-wide streetlight district. That's, as I think, Thomas, you put it, any main thoroughfare in the town which is deemed to be necessary to have a streetlight goes into the town lighting budget. But if you go into a development or something like that, it goes into development. I think we have two applications possibly for the Legend, so it'd be paid for in the Legends Lighting District. I have one for Hillside Lake, a request for Hillside Lake, that would then go into the Hillside Lake Lighting District. And we have 2 for Route 376, where it becomes Hillside Lake Road, and that would come out of the total town lighting district. John Jay, they asked for one at 52 at the entrance of the school because they were concerned about the lighting out there. And so what I would like to do is ask the town board if they would authorize this pending review by the town, I would say the town engineer and the town highway superintendent. If you guys could look at these locations, one each on Brandy Lane, one at each end. One on Country Club, we got the lady had the complaint there, and possibly at the entrance of the Legends. Route 52 at the entrance of John Jay. And then we have the existing pole at North Mission and Hillside Lake. I will also send a memo to the Hillside Lake review, the Hillside Lake Board to get their comments on that also. So do I have a motion to authorize the installation of these streetlights pending review of the town engineer and the town highway superintendent?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And I did look up, I say, the light in front of John Jay. The total cost is going to be approximately $240, $260 a year. That's for the light. That's for power and any maintenance that needs to be done. Number 7 is to authorize fees for brush drop-off. Well, sat down with the clerk, and I had said to the town clerk, I said, what do we charge for the, for our dump tickets? I thought they'd be compatible. I have to brush drop-off, and dump tickets would have to be pretty close. What did I know? When I walked out of the room yesterday, some council people got together, and everybody decided I was wrong. So I thought we'd had a schedule, Carol, but I stand corrected.
This is very similar to.
It is similar.
It's just a little different.
It is similar.
I think there's a difference between garbage and junk and
And brush?
brush.
I know. We don't take garbage, but we do take brush.
We do.
So, Councilman Danke, would you like to read off the schedule, seeing as you were probably pretty involved with it?
Well, I just offered a few thoughts. Car, any size, $10. Minivan, SUV, station wagon, or car with trailer. Is this the up-to-date list? $15. Pickup, single axle trailers, and single axle trailers up to 3/4 ton, $25. Larger trucks, not tractor trailers, $50.
Okay. Be it further resolved, set ticket shall allow for a vehicle of brush or small pickup to brush it, strike that. The site is not open at this time, though I would like to just mention that the site is not open yet. We're still working on logistics of getting in, where you're going to pull around, drop off the brush. We're almost there, but when we get there, I do want to have the rates all set. So, that being said, question?
Well, I don't know how much brush you can get in a car.
Well, that was one of the things we were discussing.
Okay. Maybe you got a big car. But I don't. Volkswagen, both. Even a pickup.
I don't know how much brush you can really get in a pickup.
Probably can get quite a bit in a pickup. If you-
You'd have to pack
you-
brush in to get quite a bit
Yeah,
in the truck. And
people put ropes over it and they pile it up pretty good. You can get quite a bit in a pickup. A car, I would agree with you. But I used to go down to the Lime Kiln site quite often and visit Bill and some of the other people who would be on duty. And I don't know that I ever saw somebody taking brush out of their trunk. So I don't think
Out of
they're
their car.
out of the trunk of their car. So maybe Bill
Bill,
saw it, but if it-
Okay.
How big's the truck, I guess, is what I'm looking at. How much?
For the town board to make the decision.
That's a very good
That's a
pass
good
on.
answer.
All right, let me just ask this. Yes, ma'am, just really quick.
Do you have a lower fee for senior citizens? Have you considered
We have a helper though.
that kind of schedule?
No, we hadn't considered that. I was trying to make this as easy as possible, but they thwarted me in that endeavor, so.
I'm just going to say something.
Yep.
Okay? And I'm totally against the charge of brush drop-off charge. That being said, it's because it literally is your property, okay? And we really don't get any services in terms of, all right, they plow the roads, okay, they clean the roads. But in terms of services to our property, we have to pay for. And I just think it's a service that the town can provide for people to drop off their brush if they don't have extra property in which to handle that brush, so,
Okay.
sorry.
Do I have a motion to table this resolution for further comment, for further discussion?
That's my point of view.
John, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What do we charge anything now? We don't, right?
We don't, typically when we have a brush drop-off, we don't charge anything. We'd have it like usually 6 weeks this spring, 6 weeks in the fall, we don't charge anything for it. Some of the complaints that I've heard, some people would say, I don't use brush drop-off, but I have to pay for it. So that's kind of a thing, I tried to make it equal, you're right, you don't use the service. So why should you as a taxpayer pay for a service? So, but I'm really just too tired at this point in the day to argue about it, so.
I don't need to argue about it. I'm only extending, saying what my view is,
That's
just
why I
like
thought I
he
would
has
keep it
his
simple
view.
with the dump pass. I figured just cross out dump and put on brush, but that didn't go anywhere. Yes, fellas, did you want to say something?
Yeah, because weren't you also selling the mulch?
Yes,
So if I drop off my mulch, you're selling it?
we're going to sell it too. Yep,
Okay, and the other thing is, I don't have kids, so I don't use the school system, but I pay quite a bit.
I know. Do you think that's fair?
I don't have a problem with that.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a problem with that, but I'm like, could I drop a little mulch off because I don't have kids in school?
Okay. As you can see, these things get a little more complicated than I would have ever thought. But, all right.
Ethel makes a good point, and that's a very valid point.
I'll leave the board.
But this brush drop-off will be an ongoing service, not just a few weeks, spring and...
And it was also a way
Am
to
I not correct on that?
It was also a way to monitor that only residents were
Right.
dropping off the brush. There has to be some sort of a, so
And we
if you
also
don't
have to have a
charge, you
person
still
out
have to
there
have some sort of-
full-time to
Well,
monitor the
My question
place.
would be there, the old brush spot we had was supposed to be monitored, and it was local town residents. And, I mean, I kind of agree with Ethel. I don't think we should pay for it. Brush, leaves, I mean, I'm even for putting in the leaves, you gotta pay for your garbage. But my personal opinion, I'd like to try it for a while for nothing, and, I mean, realistically, we got a month and a half left this year.
Just see what the cost is, Is the place that we're going to have, is it going to be monitored or not?
oh, yeah. With all due respect to Councilman Danke, I don't think it's going to be open all year. I mean, I think we would set a few.
Ongoing.
Yeah. We can do that. We can do that.
Couple days.
It will be monitored.
Certain days now and certain days,
Right.
just certain days a week or something. It's gotta be open on the weekend. That's when most people can get their brush through.
Okay.
you know, in my opinion. It's gotta be open Saturday or Sunday, because that's when
Oh,
Tom's
there's
got
there's
off.
no doubt, we always had it open Saturday and Sunday, that's how we've always had them open. All right.
And he's got it in his trunk. Of his Volkswagen
There's always
Bug.
somebody's gonna bring it to the town in the
There you go.
trunk of their car, so.
Well, I understand what they're saying, but I have to agree with the supervisor. Why should the other residents pay for the employees to work there,
Yeah.
and they don't use the brush drop-off?
Yeah, I thought a nominal fee, but, we can discuss this further, though. I don't think we have to, we're not open, we're not done yet, so I think we probably, if the board is okay, we can put this off to, the next meeting. Councilman?
Yeah.
Ethel?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. Peter? Nick?
You know, maybe we can come up with a more nominal fee, you know,
Yeah.
just a fee that covers,
Okay.
sort of covers our expenses, but isn't, I thought the car
Onerous.
thing was too high.
Okay,
But-
thank you very much. Do I have a motion to table the fees for, I'm just gonna table it, never mind. Resolution number 8 is to authorize the hiring of an assistant engineer. We've been discussing this actually for a while, looking at, well, we have a contract engineering firm. Morse Engineer's been with us for probably 35 years. They've done a lot of work for us in the past. We did bring in an in-house engineer, Scott, 5 years ago?
Yes.
And we found a marked improvement in savings. The product we get done, what we get done, has been significantly superior to any work we'd gotten done previously. We've had some issues with the contract engineers well, not recently, it just seems like they're ongoing. But we want to look into bringing on an engineering aide, because Scott can't do everything. He's doing a heck of a job. But we would like to bring in another engineer or an engineering assistant to help out. We will see savings. First, we'll see savings in the money we won't be paying the contract engineer. We will be paying to our in-house engineer, number one. And I believe, again, the quality of the product that we get at the end of the day will be much, much better. We discussed this. One of the things also we did, the attorney had brought up a while back, is that we are now charging out of the escrows from the planning board. We never used to charge out escrows for planning board for our professional services. Now we do, so our attorney fees, our engineer fees are charged back to the planning board escrow fees. So that's a savings to us. So we've been looking around. We actually ran an ad in the newspaper, Poughkeepsie Journal and the Southern Dutchess. We had Channel 22, and we had 3 applicants come forward. Councilman Danke, Councilman D'Alessandro, as well as the town engineer, interviewed the applicants. And we're very happy that one gentleman really stood out as far as an engineering background, what he does, and his knowledge. And the town board interviewed him tonight. So that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion. I'd like to make a motion to appoint John Metzger of Hillside Lake. Oh, I lost my resolution. Boy, John's back there going, no, he lost the resolution. Thank you. Everybody's got one, though. That John Metzger of 10 North Mission Road be appointed to the position of Assistant Town Engineer. The position shall pay an annual salary of $70,000, which has been budgeted for next year, and we have enough money in the engineering budget to cover the remainder of this year. So I make a motion to authorize John Metzger as Assistant Town Engineer. Second? Oh, do I have a motion? Sorry.
Bill did.
Bill made a motion?
Yeah.
Oh, I made a motion. So moved. Second?
Second.
Thank you. I'm a little tired today.
You gonna vote it through too, by yourself?
Now I have to wait for somebody else to do that.
Well, I'd just like to make a comment
Comment?
too, yes. That Councilperson Danke and I did the interviews, and we were very impressed with Mr. Metzger, with his experience and his education. And I think that he'll be a great asset to our town, and through our escrows and weaning off other engineering firms, will do the town a lot of saving there, I believe, right, engineer?
Yes, and that's correct. And we are doing more and more projects in-house. You know, we're doing projects for recreation. We're doing our own inspections, like for Wildflower. We'll be inspecting that project where we used to give it out for inspection. And we were not satisfied really with those inspections. So we're doing more and more things in-house. So we do need the help We oversee our water and our sewer districts, which are growing. We're doing improvements to those water districts. So, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot more we're starting to do in-house. And I think the town board's been satisfied with that. So I do think John will be a great addition to the town and a big help, big asset.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Carol, did I get a motion and a second?
Yes, you did.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. John Metzger, he's in the audience. Congratulations. We look forward to working with you. All right, now you have two resolutions from the floor. These are things that just kind of came up, and I didn't really have time to get them on the agenda, but we found out that we're probably going to be needing some help in recreation. I'll be working at Lime Kiln. We've been a little bit stretched with the Lime Kiln over there at Lime Kiln, and actually a person that will help out with any of the other sports programs as well. We interviewed a gentleman tonight who was very knowledgeable about the sports programs and the town operations, and I think that Larry Goldstein, too, will make a good addition. He'd be a part-time recreation assistant. He will not work more than 20 hours a week. He'll be paid $11 an hour. Do I have a motion to appoint Larry Goldstein, who resides in the town of East Fishkill, as part-time recreation assistant?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And lastly, from the floor, we'd gotten a letter from the Mission Church, and Scott will talk about this a little bit further. Ironically, we just tonight passed changes to the zoning definitions. There's one item in the zoning law which we've been discussing for many years, which we feel needs to be addressed, is called processing of material on site. Problem is, you have a lot of rock. Town law says you haul the rock off, and you bring in new rock or new stone for your driveway, for your foundation bed, what have you. We've really recognized for a long time that it should be possible for a contractor, even somebody like this doing the addition to the church, if you have rock on site, crush it on the site. You're not hauling it off. You're not hauling it on. It saves costs, road wear, and everything like that, but it has to be regulated. You can't be crushing, obviously, Sunday night at midnight. We've talked about this, and actually this came up. We have a letter from the church, from the Mission Church. Through the initial excavation process for a new classroom, we have come across several large-sized boulders. It would be the best interest of both the church and the town to be able to crush on-site and reuse the material, not only keeping more trucks off the road, which is always a traffic and safety concern, but will follow green practices of recycling material. Crushing will also serve as financial savings for the nonprofit church due to the fact they will not have to pay for the export of this material and import of the new. And they asked that we would please take a look at this. Scott, would you like to add anything further?
Well, as you said, Supervisor, we have looked at this for a while now. It does make sense. It's done in other areas. The portability of crushing units is at a point now where they come off the low bed, they can crush for a day, they can crush for a week, and they're gone. I think it does help enforce green practices. We're saving fuel, wear and tear on the roads, traffic, etc. So I'm all in favor of it. I do believe it needs to be monitored. We don't want to disturb neighbors. We don't want to create dust nuisances, sound nuisances, things of that nature. But in many cases, it makes a lot of sense to do that. So.
Okay. Tom, how would we proceed with this? Because we would be changing the law, correct?
The resolution before the board tonight would be to do two things. One would be to set a public hearing for December 13th at 7:30 to consider amending the zoning ordinance to allow this, and you would also refer it to the town planning board for their comments, which is required by law. And there'll be a draft then of the law for them to discuss, and then that would come with their comments to this board.
Okay.
It would also have to be referred to Dutchess County 30 days before the public hearing.
Okay. Very good. Do I have motion scheduling the public hearing referring to proposed zoning change to the planning board?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those, any discussion? I mean, to me, it's always been something we really need to allow in this town.
Yeah, we've discussed it.
Bill, discussion? You're all done after the brush drop, so okay. All right. All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Can I ask the engineer, do we currently supervise trucks on construction sites, the weight of them? Is there an issue with the roads or?
Well, every site's a little different. We do have one project in town on Townsend Road, the Jackson Corner subdivision, that we did place restrictions on that project for weight limits, and that we are monitoring. We don't monitor on state roads. So it's something new that we're looking at, depending on the location.
Okay, because they could do substantial damage, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I have spoke to the police chief. We don't own scales, but he's assured me that he can borrow the scales, so.
You know, one of the other issues that we were just discussing also, if you're doing a construction site and you haven't got the road complete, but you've got the sub-base down, and you've got a binder course down, and then you start running these heavy trucks over it, you're doing a lot of damage to what will be at some point our road. I don't know if that's what happened on Shepherd's Way. I remember one of the local roads we experienced quite a bit of damage to.
Well, every road's a little different. I mean, Hopewell Glen, we are monitoring. We have put them on notice.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we do take the hard look before they're surfaced. And that's what we are doing.
Okay. I'll tell you what, really proud of our engineering people. You know, when you go to these lengths to put down a good road and install good catch basins and things, we're not going to have to come back for many, many years and redo them. Unfortunately, I think some of the new roads that are probably 8, 10 years old, we're already seeing need work, and that shouldn't be happening. But by doing it more during the construction phase, we're catching a lot of work that we have to do down the road, so. Very good. Any other comments or questions by the board? All right, we're to the part of the agenda. It's called public comments on general town issues. Is there anybody in the audience like to speak on any general town issues? Okay, there being none, the next meeting will be the budget workshop that will be held November 8th, 2012, and we will start discussing the special districts. We'll be discussing that portion of the budget at 7 o'clock. And the next regular town board meeting is November 15th, 2012, back at our 7:30 time slot.
John,
Now what did I do?
The budget is a workshop meeting, but it is a public
Public
hearing
hearing.
for the budget.
On November 8th.
It has been advertised in the newspapers.
Did I not say that? Oh, I said budget workshop. Oh, excuse me, I was just reading verbatim. Understood, the attorney caught me. All right, so that will be, November 8th will be a public hearing and a workshop.
Yes.
Okay. Starting at 7 o'clock. Do I have a motion to adjourn the town board meeting? Do I have a second? Second.